There may be people with a lot of information, but in the end, they don't achieve any results. Just as there may be people who have very little information, but achieve a lot of results. What does it depend on? Who says what? Who can tell me what it depends on? What does it depend on? Well, I think one of the factors, let's see, write it in the chat before. There you can see my screen. I think so, right? Thank you to everyone who is sharing and participating. Alexandra says it's about attitude. Okay, yes, that could be. She says, what else does it depend on? What else does it depend on? On energy. Well, yes, on energy too, of course. What else do you think it depends on? Well, there are several factors, but there is one very important one, and that's time, right? Time. Because you can have all the information, you can be the best of the best, but if you don't dedicate time to the task, and if you don't do it properly, the result is probably not going to show. The result probably won't come. And that's exactly why today we will be talking about the seventh skill, the seventh key to boosting your leadership in this comprehensive training called the DNA of a Leader. We have been working on this, and maybe you don't have the list, but there is a playlist. There is a playlist on the NV Global LATAM channel that already includes vision and strategic thinking, decision-making, effective communication, emotional intelligence, problem-solving, the ability to inspire and motivate. And today we are working on management and prioritization of time. If you don't see this playlist, our team is already as they are. It's just that there should be a playlist. Let's see if someone can share it with me in the chat, please. This should already be working because that's the way to find information quickly and properly, okay? Are you following me so far? How are we doing? Great, right? Great. So let's get started with the first thing, which is time and priority management. How many of you start a task and suddenly find yourself scrolling, suddenly checking Facebook? You go in to make a post and end up just watching Facebook. And then you go in to make a story and end up watching other people's stories. Say me, don't worry. If you're one of those people, you're one of mine. Don't worry. It used to happen to me too, and sometimes it still does. Sometimes it still happens to me. But there's something important, and that's that we need to learn to be efficient. There are a lot of people who work every day, work 8, 10, 12 hours, but in the end, what they actually accomplish is very little. First, it depends on how you manage your time and what you're dedicating it to, right? And of course, you can spend a lot of time, but be very distracted, right? With little focus and a lot of energy spent on things that aren't relevant. Do you agree with me? Tell me, write it there in the app if you agree, the number 6. If you agree with me, number 6. That's my number 6. If you agree with me, write number 6 there, okay? Perfect. And if you don't agree, write the number. Don't write to me. So let's analyze the following that I'm going to share with you. Let's analyze the following information. And for the answer to these questions, you are going to reply with the number 6. Do you ever feel like there's not enough time in the day? Yes, sir. What tasks take up the most of your time but don't bring you closer to your goals? Are there tasks that take up your time but don't bring you closer to your goals? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, now what I have to tell you is that we're going to start adopting techniques that for many might not seem important, but for us, they're everything for us entrepreneurs. We all have to start from one concept, and that is that we all have the same 24 hours. You don't have more, others don't have less, and vice versa. We all have the same 24 hours. The difference lies in how you are using the most valuable raw material that exists in the world. It's not even gold, it's not even Bitcoin, it's time. Because time is slipping through your fingers every day. It's passing you by every single day. The point here is how you are going to apply it after this conference show you are going to use that time to your advantage, not against yourself, because time works against you. That's why I like working in network marketing systems. And I like working in marketing network systems. Why? Because the 1% effort from hundreds of people adds up to 100%. The effort I am making in this room is multiplied 10, 20, 100 times over by the information being applied throughout the entire team. That's why leverage is so important. The information I am giving you right now has cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, countless hours, many years. And I am consolidating it here for you, encapsulating it in 40 minutes so you can start putting it into action. Because what I am giving you is not just the information, it's the frequency at which I am delivering it to you. And this means a lot. Because in the end, there are many people who share information, but when it's delivered at the right frequency and energy and to the right people, like we are right now, in this very moment, I am absolutely certain that our steps and our leaps will be quantum. So far, does the information I have shared with you make sense to you? Write to me there. Does it make sense, please? Write to me there, Juan. It all makes sense. It all makes sense, please. There. Perfect. Great, great. Thank you so much to everyone who's writing. Thank you, thank you. 6, very good. 6. Perfect, very good. Now, time is a resource that is not renewable, right? And that's why you have to start from this point. The concept is simple, but I'm reminding you of it. The Pareto principle. 20% of your activities will determine 80% of your results. What are you dedicating that 20% to scroll, to gossip, to criticize, or to make calls? To following up, prospecting, presenting the business, getting people involved, presenting it and not wasting time. And this is key. Every person to whom I present the business, I immediately sign them up. And even if they haven't paid, I include them in the group and welcome them. Why? Because maybe at the moment they don't have the money, but the most important thing is that they keep catching the energy we're all feeling right now. That there are many more and the results. That's why it's so important for you to open your back office, start taking screenshots, and talk about the results, the commissions. It doesn't matter how small the commissions might be, 13 cents, 5 cents, $1, it doesn't matter. What matters here is that you're generating income automatically, and that's what you need to focus on, and that's how you're showing people that the business works. But don't waste time. Every single thing you do, every time you go on Instagram is to prospect, is to share information. Every time you go on Facebook, it's not to just sit there watching what others are doing. And if you do watch what others are doing, it's to copy them, to see how you can improve what you're doing. But not to just look at someone else's life scrolling and thinking about how they post, how they share, how they hook you in. Every time something like that hooks you, remember that someone created it and that person is making money and you're contributing to their earnings. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Very good. So let's identify the time thieves. If you identify your enemy, you'll be able to fight it. But if you don't even know who your enemy is, well, it's very difficult. The first enemy you have, and is also a friend to you, is social media. But social media without a purpose just means scrolling, wasting hours, and having much of your time quantified as simply lost time. Okay? Another thing that many people are always thinking about is called perfectionism, but it's also called fear, right? And sometimes, and I only say sometimes, these people connect and start doing things, but then they say, no, I don't think I'm good at this. Maybe I shouldn't do it until I know how to do it. So no. What's important here is putting in the flight hours. I mentioned this in the group just recently, the flight hours. You have to go out and do the work. You have to go out and present. You have to go out and share. You have to go out and talk about the topic. But if I don't do it, then I'll never know what I need to improve. If I don't do it, I won't know if I'm doing it right or if I'm doing it wrong. Obviously, when things start to look bad, a lot of people are going to criticize you. A lot of people will tell you, no, that is wrong. All that stuff, it doesn't matter. They've pointed out your shortcomings, and now all you have to do is just improve them. But if you don't do it, how are we going to know if you're doing well or not? Do you understand me? Lack of planning, extremely, extremely important. If you don't plan, for example, now, in a few days, the team will be communicating to you from the team led by our leaders, Alicia and Blanca, and I think Catherine, who currently hold the highest ranks in the company within the LATAM team. And if there isn't good planning for an event, then what's very likely to happen? That it won't be communicated and it won't close. And then people say, no, it's just that. So then people start, right? They start saying, no, it's just that people seem to be afraid. No, it's just that people don't seem to have money. No, it's just that people aren't really buying into this anymore. This just isn't anymore. No, none of that. The real issue is, first, you didn't plan well. Second, you didn't execute well. And third, you didn't close. Why? Because you didn't make a checklist. You really left tasks incomplete. You executed in an inadequate way. You created a sense of stress, of need, of chaos. No one is going to follow you in business if you're not actually planning correctly and if you're not communicating in the right way. Are you following me? Yes, just like the topic says, right? If the shoe fits, let them improve. Fourth, long and unproductive meetings. Be punctual, get straight to the point. In other words, don't always focus on the same people. You have to keep looking for alternatives, opening up new markets, and talking to different kinds of people in different ways. There isn't just one right way to talk to someone. There are a lot of people who tell me, no, the right way to talk to them is like this. Look, the most important thing is to connect from the heart. What are your intentions? If your intentions are pure and genuine, that comes across more than anything else. But if your intentions are just to earn commissions and make money at any cost, people will notice. People aren't stupid. People can sense and read what you really want, period. But if you speak to them honestly and say, look, we're going to work this business like this, we're going to do things this way, and these are the results we're going to get, and this is what I'm earning, and this is how things are going for me, then people will feel that immediately, okay? Are you following what I'm saying? How's it going? This is a time-based training, but I'm immediately giving you little tips that can be applied to anything, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you finding the training? Write it for me there in the chat, from 1 to 10, from 1 to 10. Focus block scheduling and disconnecting from notifications, extremely important. Being disconnected from notifications is crucial because you might be working on a task, but ding, ding, ding notifications keep coming in and distract you. In other words, you need to stop being a radioactive persona, a reactive person, radioactive, reactive. Yes, someone who immediately reacts to whatever. No, you should have a plan for what you're going to do. That will allow you to be more productive if you don't have distractions around you. And the results will show. They will definitely show, okay? So let's learn these management tools for networkers, all right? The first thing we're going to learn is something called time blocking. What is it called? Say it out loud, because we also need to improve our English. Time blocking, okay? Time blocking, very good. And what you'll do is start creating blocks of specific tasks that you need to do in your business. In this case, prospecting, follow-up, and training. In other words, you need to have training and educational blocks, like this one, for example. This is a mandatory block, mandatory at 10 in the morning, Colombia time. I'm here with you. You have to be there no matter what. You can't miss it because it's a dose every 8 days. And what I'm going to give you is what I feel you need right now. And if you don't need it now, you'll use it later. I'm sure of that. Absolutely sure of that. Time blocking, okay? You're going to do follow-up tasks. You're going to set a block for that. All right, I'm going to do follow-ups, 2 hours. I'm going to make posts on social media 2 hours, right? I'm going to do searching and prospecting and calls, 2 hours. There you already have 6. There you already have 6. And I'm going to do 4 hours of presentation. So now you have 10. And the result, just by the numbers, by statistics, the result will come. The result will happen. Just by if you stay on that path. These businesses are actually very simple. These businesses are calls, prospecting, presentations, closings, and follow-up. Period. That's all there is to it. And to learn a little more, education. Education, training, digital business presentations. That's basically the business. It's very simple. And now with artificial intelligence, it's much faster. Much faster. Communicate the idea though. You know how you communicate it? And boom, you use technology to your advantage to create it much faster and reach social media with more impact, which is our business card nowadays. It's extremely simple to start a business in network marketing. It's much easier than being out in the sun, much easier than breaking bricks, much easier than cleaning or washing, much easier than cooking, much easier than driving. You have to weigh things on a scale so that the soul look right now, I'm at a crucial decision point in my life. And it's that I have to go help my coworkers in the military, but my coworkers are at war right now. They're supporting a war that isn't even ours. And we're all the way over there in South Africa. And my coworkers who are currently in the Air Force are telling me, Juan, we're being bombed from all sides. That really is a tough job. And sometimes I feel like saying, I want to go over there. I want to support them because it's incredible. Just out of support, not even for, they're doing it for the money because they said, yes, I swear, yes, I swear. And they're over there. And just recently, one of my coworkers was bombed. And thank God nothing happened to them, but it shook them up so much that even some of their organs were damaged. Why am I telling you this? Because there are jobs that are harder than this stuff. There are jobs that are harder than telling people how easy it is to do this, honestly. It's much easier than doing anything else that's out there. This is simply about sharing information, doing it the right way, talking to people about the advantages, teamwork, community, period. Developing yourself as a person, being able to speak, to communicate, to develop skills, the skill of communication, the skill of building trust, assertiveness, closeness, just like what I'm doing right now. But it's a skill. It's like anything else. If you practice soccer every day, even if you're really bad, you'll eventually score a goal. It's that simple, right? Obviously, you have to like it. You have to love developing it, and that way it will be much easier. I love being able to help people, to wake them up and give them information so they can grow. And that's what I'm doing right now. Let's move on to the second one. Rules, the rule of the big 3, okay? You have to define the 3 most important tasks you need to do. In this business, it's about educating yourself. That's the first one, educating yourself. Second, share the information. And third, work toward your goal. You need to have a clear goal. A clear goal. If you have a clear goal, then you'll assign tasks to that goal. What is the goal? Now, I want to reach rank 10. Perfect. So, for rank 10, what do I need to do? Break down that goal. How am I going to reach rank 10 if I'm at rank 1? Well, by conquering rank 2 and so on. But by setting a goal and a deadline with a date and doing it. But if you just go to see what happens, to see what comes up, no, nothing is ever going to happen. Absolutely nothing. I swear to you, nothing will ever happen. Look, one of the great masters, and that's why I mention him here, is Mr. Eisenhower. Mr. Eisenhower, besides being a president of the United States, was a general. And this man, even though they didn't base this concept on him, even though he didn't create it, was someone who was extremely disciplined with his time, but incredibly. And that's why, thanks to that structure, they were able to win a battle that is very well known. It was called the Normandy War. And it was thanks to what he planned, to what he did, you know. They landed and were able to carry out everything perfectly because step by step they were told, when you land, team 1 will do this, team 2 will do that, team 3, and at the exact time this and that will happen. And based on that, they were able to move forward, because many of us are only dealing with what's urgent. And what is urgent? Solving things day by day. And that's fine, because you need to take care of it. But what's important is your personal development, the growth you're experiencing. This space is so valuable. I know that when you're in need and facing scarcity, it's very hard to see it. But if you just do things out of inertia, not even because you intend to, not even because, even if all you do is open the blessed Zoom, connect and listen, that's enough. Even if you're driving, even if you're having lunch, even if you're brushing your teeth and listening to me, that's more than enough, because that way you'll be able to focus on what's important. The urgent things are the day-to-day, but what's important is your growth here. The hardest work there is in life is thinking, but because you're so worried about the urgent things, you forget to do it. And it's thinking properly, looking for the right strategy to grow more, that will allow you to improve your results. No, this is epic. This is something you should put in quotes. Post to your story and tag me, okay? What I just told you, who agrees with me on that? From 1 to 10, write 6. If you totally agree, number 6 is my number. Number 6, okay? The Pomodoro method. This method was created by an Italian person who had I don't know if you've seen in chess those timers that stop and start. And he used the Pomodoro in Italian. That's tomato, and that's why they call it the Pomodoro method, because he adopted this technique. And the idea is that we work for 25 minutes, but really focus, doing what needs to be done, then take a 5-minute break, and that's it. And if you do it 4 times, then you take a 20-minute break, period. But those 25 minutes are for doing the task you need to do, doing the work you have to do. Okay? Are you following what I'm saying? Write to me in the chat if you agree with what I'm saying. Please write to me, write to me, write to me. Write to me, because this is already coming to an end and you're just now waking up with this information. An effective example to get results is to schedule what you're going to do. Calls, social media, follow-ups, trainings, and presentations. But set a time for each task, do it with intention, and on top of that, aim for results. Do you agree with me? Agreed? There's number 6. Number 6, if you agree. Very simple, very simple. Look, one of the ways to lead effectively is to definitely share your schedule, share your results. You can see it on my social media. I have a set time for prospecting through stories, right? I have a time for calls, a time to present, to share. And each of these things allows me to achieve results. That's how you can do it. If you start doing it, example is not just one way to teach, it's the only way. So you show your team by example and tell them what they need to do, because you're doing it yourself. You have appointments, you have meetings, you have things to accomplish and things to do. And on top of that, you're cutting it out to the letter. You have an agenda, you have your calendar, it's full of appointments, it's full of calls, prospecting, connecting, social media, the tasks that need to be done, okay? Write to me in the chat, type 6 in the chat. All right, Juan, all right. I agree with what you're sharing with me. Look, to wrap up this very specific information. First, you don't need more time. You need to make better decisions. And I don't think I am completely sure about what I'm going to tell you next. And that is, it depends on the intention, the energy, and the passion with which you do things. Sometimes it's not even about working more. It's about making sure that when you speak to someone, you convey the message in the right way. You connect with the person and you say, I want to be with this person because I see someone who is organized. I see someone who is well-trained. I see someone who is connected to the information. I see someone who is duplicating things properly. I see someone who is sharing the information with others the way it should be done. I see someone who is teaching by example and by results. So when you inspire in that way and when you speak like that, completely convinced that this is what will work, period, that's it. But I'm going to tell you the fundamental problem, the biggest problem that the whole world has. Listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because with this I'm finishing. The problem lies in fears, in anxieties, and in worries. And those fears are reflected because of what happened in the past or from repeatedly and continuously thinking about the future, such as what might happen next. Listen very carefully to what I just told you. The problem is that most people act out of fear, with anxiety, and that fear is reflected, it gets transmitted, it seeps in. Because even if you are speaking in a positive way, your mind is stuck in the past. What happened in the past that made you afraid of what you're doing now? Are you following me? And that fear is what keeps you from moving forward, what keeps you from achieving great results. Because the past is painting the same picture for you every day. But it already happened. But I can't take the leap the same way anymore. But it already happened to me. And in the end, the most important thing is the advantages and the things you're gaining around you. Most people typically only measure their results based on money and the time spent specifically, the amount of time you use and the money you actually earn. But you leave aside the most important things, the relationships, the lessons learned, the people around you, what you are leaving behind along the way. That is the most important thing. But since we only measure our results or what has happened in our lives by the money we've spent, the money we've invested, and the time we've put into it, then guess what happens? You end up more worried about what happened or what will happen, and you forget to work in the present. You forget that you have to make your best possible effort for things to happen. Fear is what keeps you from moving forward. Fear is what keeps you from getting results. And of course, you might say, but look, Juan, I mean, yes, fear, okay, I get it. But look at all the times this happened to us. But look at all the businesses I've started that haven't worked out. But look at this. And what guarantees me that this business will be any different? No one can guarantee that. Absolutely no one. All I can tell you is that I have analyzed, I have evaluated all the options, and this is what is going to work. And I am going to make it happen, period. Under any circumstance or current situation, period. And I am going to put all my intention, all my strength and my energy into making it happen. But if I start to transmit fear, if I start to transmit pain, if I start to transmit neediness, it's better not to do it. It's better not to do anything because you're just wasting time, because you're lukewarm. And do you know what happens to lukewarm people? Lukewarm results. And so in the end, you know what happens? The business might fail. And then they say, see, why did I even get involved? Did you see? See? So no, it's just like any other business. What happens if you open a bakery and you say, no, I don't think I'll open early because, and you start looking at, there are businesses like that, there are people like that. And then they stop making bread. And then they don't open soon on Sunday because last Sunday went badly. and then they don't open on Monday, and then they don't open on Tuesday, the business has already failed, period. Or maybe those last 2 days went badly for them. And then on Wednesday, they're like, let's see how it goes today. But no, if Monday and Tuesday went badly, Wednesday will too. But they have to open because there's no other choice. They have to open. But just imagine the energy with which they go out to open. They've already completely set everything off on the wrong foot. And that's how most people are. Currently, 99% operate that way with fear, with pain, with constant failure. I meet people every day, and all they talk about are their sorrows, their pains, trying to justify their mediocrity, their losses, and their crappy lives because of something that happened to them that they could never get over. Let's fight for it and give it our all. And if we crash and burn, well, we crash and burn. What else can we do? We couldn't do any more, period. But let's give it everything we've got so that if the business fails or the results don't come, it's not because of us. That's my philosophy. I make things happen. If not, nothing will happen. Absolutely nothing. Obviously, being very well, having our awareness, right? I'm not going to act purely on emotion either. No. So being aware, evaluating my priorities, and assessing what I have in my hands at this moment. Today, I see a lot of people in my country, for those of you connected from other countries, since there are some of you here today. In my country, a pretty complicated situation is happening, and now people are worried. Juan, listen, the situation is tough. And I say, oh, really? It's tough? Yes, wow. But since you're over there in Turkey, you don't feel it. I tell them, no, I'm very aware of everything completely. I know what's happening, and I know what a digital war is doing, reaching other countries, looking for other alternatives, and not just staying stuck in what's happening and in the problem. And some, just a few, are saying, hey, yes, that's true. And that's where it ends. And a very small percentage is actually taking action, but only because things had to get really bad for them. They had to see death, scarcity, and poverty before making a decision. And I can tell you, there will still be people who, despite the situation, cling very strongly to their beliefs and to what they know how to do. And even if there's no work, even if companies are laying people off, if people are losing their jobs, they're going to cling to that and stay put. Not long ago, we spoke with a friend of my wife's, and she works for the state in education. And they fired her. They let her go, period. And we said, come on, let's do this business. Oh, no, that's too risky. But what about your job? You just got fired. No, but I'll find something, even though it's hard. So what are you going to do? Well, just wait, keep looking. Damn. I mean, and I don't blame her because she's so deeply rooted in the system that there's no way out. I don't blame her. I don't even judge her. She's so deeply rooted in the system that she has no choice but to die that way. I congratulate you and acknowledge you for giving yourselves this opportunity, but you have to stop being lukewarm. Either do it right or don't do it at all. Because honestly, I congratulate you and applaud you because you've already taken the first step. But do you know what's going to happen? If you stay where you are, people need to see your results, see your testimony, see that it's working for you. Because otherwise, it doesn't give them enough confidence. It doesn't give them enough certainty. They need to see you far ahead with big results, with success, so that the person says, I want to be like that person. He used to work with me. He was with me, but look at him now. Now I'll follow you. They need to see your results, but big, huge results. You need to show them your checkbook. Look at your look at my results. Look at how much I'm earning. But if you keep being lukewarm, afraid, yes, you took the leap. Great. You disconnected yourself. Great. But what happened? You were like, it's getting there. It's getting there. No, nothing is getting there. We have to go all in, either rich or dead, but poor never again. That's the rule for how it has to work. That way, and I'm not just talking about monetary wealth, but wealth in information, in relationships, in language, in connection. That's the kind of wealth I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it has truly been a pleasure to be with you on this wonderful morning. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for listening to me. And remember, Success doesn't come to those who work the hardest, but to those who work the smartest. That's why we're in this business. Have an excellent day. Thank you very much and see you soon. Take care. See you soon. We'll see each other next Saturday. 10 in the morning, you have to be there. Remember, on Sunday at 8, we have a huge, massive training session. You can't miss it. 8 in the evening, so you can get fully connected. At 1 in the afternoon, we'll meet for the business presentation. Invite people to connect. 8 in the evening today, connect people. Let's get trained. Let's make things happen. A special greeting. Take care. All the best. Bye.